remember I told them one time, somebody come in and wondered.
It's a lot more than what we got.
Oh, yeah. I wanna say it was like more than half. If we got, what, 20 something?
20 patrol.
Cause even at 40, it wasn't enough for the mileage or something.
Yeah. Okay, you have, everybody should have a copy of the budget. This is your full, you got your, first two pages should be the general fund, and then the other two pages will be your revenues and expenses for all other funds compared. So, just to kind of look at, if you take a look at page 3 there, your your revenues for everything, compared to your expenses. Taking a look at the first item, the general fund, our expenses are less than last year. This is with all the changes that we've made. However, with the most recent changes based on the last budget meeting, we are exceeding our revenues by about $80,000. We looked at the revenues, and there's only one place we feel comfortable that can be adjusted in, and that's the internet sales tax portion. Outside of that, we need to consider, do we want to maintain all of those changes that we had in the previous, what I'm looking for, in that previous discussion or not. Outside of that, the budget is, I mean, we've looked through it, everything that we can think of seems to be there, right?
Correct.
Your revenues for most everything else should, see, we've got, RPTs exceeds a little bit. Everything else pretty well matches or exceeds because it's revenue based or comes from transfers from the general fund. So, any questions overall? Again, our overall general fund budget is less than last year. It was reduced, it's been reduced a little bit more from last year, but there's still some decisions need to be made, such as the circuit clerk dollars that we discussed. And of course, if we want to do that as a separate thing, we can look at that. And then the last changes we had on the pay scale that were discussed had some effect on that as well.
Personally, the issue with the circuit clerk, I do not want to put it into the budget myself right now. I mean, I'm curious to help them out, but as far as it being a budgeted item, it's not something that I feel like we're gonna be able to continue doing year in and year out. Everybody else feels about that.
I agree with you. If it's done this year, maybe as a one-time thing, and I know we talked about some different places that could be pulled from. But I definitely, I mean, that the state does need to come in and make a decision as to whether that needs to be funded or not ultimately, as it is a state office.
How much on the internet sales tax? I think the math we done when we were down at conference, we had anticipated close to $100,000, and we budgeted very, very conservatively on that, but I don't really feel comfortable budgeting $100,000.
Right. That's what they said. They said, don't take the numbers and all that and budget exactly what you think. Be somewhat conservative about it. The most, I think, and what do you think? You got a number in mind?
I would be scared to go up more than $20,000 more.
Okay.
That still leaves us $60,000 budget deficit.
Right. Everything else, and we can send you the full revenue sheets to look at if you want to look details over the next few days, so to make a decision on that. But based on all the revenues we've seen, we talked about it earlier, we feel pretty comfortable. Really, that internet sales tax is the most conservative. Everything else is pretty darn close to where it was or where we've been seeing those revenues, right?
It is.
Some of these are incredibly volatile too, and you don't know what you're gonna get.
Well, and, even on the new education admin fee, we didn't leave a whole lot of room in there.
Right.
We kinda looked at what this particular year is bringing in, on that, and factor the 5% on that, so, that's fairly close to that number even, so there's not a lot of room in that one either.
And on that, thanks for bringing it up, on the education admin fee, we have been talking with most superintendents, and we're working with them to discuss this, make sure they understand this and how we plan to move forward with it. We've told them that we are budgeting this is in our budget in an effort to balance our budget. You know, we may come up with some other agreement that's mutually beneficial for them and us, that this may change in the future, but they understand that we've gotta move forward with this, budgeting now, and if something, other opportunity comes up, then we can amend that in the future. I think we plan to meet again this week with, both superintendents to discuss further.
Where is the revenue on page 101 for the jail being generated from? 199.
Most of that is general fund. You'll look on the general fund expenses, the transfer out, that's 1.57 million. The remainder of that is coming from the jail store, which did have a significant increase this year. And then, the community correction and work release programs, the dollars we get off of those, and court fees. We get some dollars off court fees, and that's where those go as well. So the difference between that
I see the transfer out. I didn't catch it.
We didn't give details on every one of these. We had that when we did the last budget meeting, but any of these details you want, we can get you a copy of those details. I just wanted to show you the
They
general.
keep it, make lines next time.
Have to ask Bob that.
Hey, Bob, make lines next time. That's the hardest thing. I can't see it as it is, you know.
Get you a ruler.
That's what I was doing on some of them.
You think there's 60,000 can be found, Bob, on some of these? Do you think we've been a little conservative on some of the funds other than the internet sales
The revenues or the expenditures?
revenues?
No, I think we really,
I think we're close.
yeah, because the main one is gonna be the general fund revenues, and, again, if you look down through there, the TV and you know, property taxes have been pretty consistent.
Yep.
Right up the top. And, then, if you come on down, revenue commission budget, naturally, that's just whatever his expenditures has been approved are.
Sure.
Alright, then you come on, and the ad valorem, the second line, that's very consistent. You know, you might could have 10 or 15,000 in there possibly, but it's, not, you know, we're just trying to stick with that number. And as you come on down, you see some small ones that are just pretty much the same every year. Education fee, I really wouldn't wanna do more than that. I mean, that one could, if something happened and sales tax just goes wild this year, that one could change some. But, that's pretty close to what we felt like it would be.
That number's using a projection of
Right.
it going up
That-
like we have been doing.
That's based off of what we
This
expect to
year's.
get this year. So if, the problem with next year, even if we maintain the same growth this year, this next year that we did this year, that's about how much we'll be able to get, because we're only taking from that growth.
We transfer in from 112 about 980 last time. Or do you remember?
I think we did 950 last year, and updated it to 980 this time, so that's about, it runs about 985, I think, looking at the last couple of years.
But the TVA in lieu of what percentage did we finally roll that down? I know we talked about several different.
I took was it 16 or 14%?
I'm believing 14%.
I did a 14% off the top, and then we put that into the new formula or whatever, and that's the number it came out with. The thing that was a surprise, it surprised me, and I don't know if you have thought about it before, the thing that I didn't think about, and part of the reason I think we've got this deficit, is the retirement contribution went up.
Went up at the last minute. I mean,
Right.
like last week, we got a notification of the retirement proceedings going up.
And that was a lot more than I didn't think it'd be that much, because it's just a 2 or 3% combined, but it was a substantial amount we put across the board.
What about the workman's comp savings that we just got?
Yeah, we've got that in there.
You've already got that
We
in there,
did.
the 48,000?
Right. Yep. We factored the net of that in,
Yeah.
including getting a refund next year.
How does the PDA in lieu of number compare to our total number last year? Do you recall?
1.8 or 1.75 last year.
1.75 or 725 or
So
something.
even with the new bill, we're getting a couple $100,000 less than we got last year.
About-
Old bill.
Yeah, it was about 100 maybe, so maybe 117 or something like that.
But without the new bill, it would have been 400,000.
Right.
Uh,
It was 300. Yeah.
390.
And that's keeping in mind us keeping our portion.
Had we got all the
Not giving it all
payment
away.
money instead of a third of it, we would be okay.
The best I know to do, we can adjust the tax to 70, the internet sales tax to 70, if that's agreeable to everybody, or we could, that's 75 if we wanna shoot that far. The only other thing I know to do on the expense side, and we can run through revenues again, but on the expense side is, I wanna take a look and see if there's any other place in any department where maybe we put a little bit more than is necessary that we can maybe trim a little on. I know we had a few $1,000s still in the commission office, for some things, we may forego that, but we can take a look at that and make that recommendation next week if we'd like to do that. And of course, we do have to pass the budget next week, so any information will.
Bigger expenditure probably is in, building maintenance too, you know,
Yeah.
we budgeted a certain amount.
This
We're
is-
gonna have to fix some things. next
Right.
year.
Which, there is another thing there, and
We
that's
could drop
kinda-
that though and balance the budget and just do a
Yeah.
budget amendment and
Spend out capital improvement.
spend out of cash.
Right. You're spending the
We
money,
balance
but
it.
you're right, we can pull it from 116 to do
Yep.
that. And that's traditionally, we had some money budgeted in 116, but then we went ahead and just, if we want, we can do that. Let's look at that, moving that obligation to
Because those
116.
large expenditures of replacing HVAC and stuff like that, that's not something you wanna budget anyway, because it messes up your tracking. from
We
what-
have to though, because we're paying for it every week. I mean, was it the jail this morning had something, Glenn called me.
A lot of the stuff we're doing in there too is, it's a lot of patching and repairing
Yeah.
instead of actually a capital
Right,
expenditure. It's a $10,000 patch to an AC that,
just like that. With clerk, you know, we spent quite a good bit of money, but the maintenance savings was pay the pay. Pay for the clerk.
it's, but that-
And
that-
increase internet sales and decrease maintenance just a little,
We'll push it over to 116.
put it
and
to 116.
we got the revenue, I think, to cover that. Okay, any other questions on these? So take a look at these if you have anything else. The big ones, again, are balanced with the exception of that general fund, which is a relatively small amount compared to where we've been over the years. The total budget, again, overall expense budget is still less than we've done, every year, I guess, we've been in office. It is less than last year, we looked at that earlier. So we are still we're keeping it, we're not increasing our budget with all the changes we're making. We're still keeping it within those dollars that we've been spending. Okay, on the circuit clerk, we wanna discuss that now. Come October 1, they're gonna wanna know what we wanna do. Do we wanna have a proposal just next week on how we wanna do that? How do we wanna move forward with that? I will say that, parties have tried to reach our representatives regarding this, particularly the state senator on this, and, no meeting has been set up at this point.
That was what I was gonna say is, you know, I agree with that.
Is that a nice enough way to say it?
We really need to have a conversation with them about it, because, you know,
They need to be funded.
Well, it ain't our responsibility, it ain't the county's, it's responsibility.
I understand, but it's been our responsibility since we've been here. And then you can't pull the rug up from under
It
them.
came out
It
of
did.
discretionary
It came out of
spending.
discretionary spending, but,
We can entertain something next week and give another week to see if we can get a response from our, representatives to meet with us and determine what needs to be done on this. It doesn't have to be on the agenda next week, we can push it out further, but I do know, that's 3 employees up there that, they need to make a
but
decision.
like she told us when she met with us, just don't forget, it's gonna affect the citizens of the county, not funding that, for them waiting, you're waiting 4 months for a civil suit,
I'm in
that's gotta be
favor-
funded,
I'm in favor of helping them
one way or the other.
this year. You know, I do not want to put it down at this time as a budget item, because I don't feel like it's the county's responsibility to pay the state's.
But it's the county's responsibility to make sure our citizens
And
don't
that's,
suffer.
and that's why,
with these services.
I'm willing to do it now, you know, but we have to look for a way to get.
We've got to, I agree with that.
If I can say this, and it may not be the best way, we really can't afford to take on that responsibility.
I agree.
If we do this, it's out of our cash. It's from that bank account that is depleted every year, and the only reason it's not less this year than last year is because of the business privilege tax, and of course, we've gotta figure
But
out
if we
what's gonna
don't
happen
do
with
it,
that.
The people we serve are the ones suffering.
Right.
It ain't the states, they can care less if we fund it or not.
I agree with
It's
that.
the people that's got
I-
suits and got court needs.
I just wanna clarify that we don't have the money to do it, we'd be spending it out of our cash. It's not something that we can afford to do on an annual basis, would you agree with that? I mean, it is,
What did we talk about that you mentioned last time?
About taking it from our redeemable property, where we had the auction sale, property that's went in delinquency.
That'll be one way to do it for this year.
Right, there's enough in there to do it for this year, and then those funds will be
it'd be
depleted.
wiped out.
No, I won't lock it out, 'cause it's 200,000 and we're talking about taking 95.
But we can only take
96.
100 and,
Yeah, you can't
You can take
all-
180,000 today.
You could take all of it.
You
but
could.
It wouldn't be wise to take it, you know, that
I understand,
money-
but maybe we shouldn't fool with it, just take it and fund it, and let's see what's going on.
But, you know, it takes 3 years for those dollars to fall off, you know, for the deed to change to the new owner, so, you know, I don't think we need to spend all of it, because we may have to turn around and take some to.
the idea was it sits there for 10 years and then we take it.
Well, and I think the law specifies too that it has to revert to the general fund.
Right.
So it's got to go from there to the general fund.
And then we
It
distribute it
can't
from
be, it
there.
can't go, I mean, it has to.
Can't go directly to another agency, it's gotta go to general fund, and we'll have to,
It specifically
sift it
says
out.
back into the county's general fund.
which is,
It'd
that's,
still be cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe we can get it funded, like we said earlier. That would
Okay.
be the best scenario.
So we wanna put that on the budget next week, or on the meeting next week?
I think we need to go ahead and do something with it.
Just to let them know. Okay, the only other thing for today is the IT director. We did discuss this last week. It's not included in this budget. It does go with the revenue budget, so it won't offset it'll increase the total number. But there's also a $25,000 decrease coming in revenue as well, so there won't be, it'll balance on both sides. It won't make that deficit any larger. So we discussed that at the meeting. I couldn't remember if we decided we wanted to go forward with that or not. What happened to Bob's computer is a good example of why we
Perfect
need
example.
one. Friday, was it Friday or Thursday afternoon?
Friday, when I come in that morning, it was locked.
And his information it was on there, but he couldn't access it. So we've had to call someone in to pick up his
And
computer.
it's a
and take it.
6-month-old computer. I mean, it's a brand new
Yeah.
system. It's, of course, sometimes new, not as good as the old ones used to be. But it
But we're
was-
still talking about,
Nobody internally could do anything with it, nobody.
we're still talking about funding that through the revenue office,
Right.
which we would only, okay.
I don't think it had a negative impact on this. Again, I have a little bit of concern about the ad valorem because of some of the changes that were made and how that may affect it, but I think where the property taxes are, we should be okay.
Will the IT person fill a position and be the IT person, or just the IT person?
I think we have enough work for someone to be just the IT person. If we can get someone that has website skills, maybe even have them do a website for us, but just like the one that came in to work on Bob's computer was talking about how every department seems to be doing something differently, and some departments aren't doing things at all in certain cases. We have we've got a system, one, maintaining it is something that needs to be done. But in addition to just that maintaining it, updating stuff. We have so much stuff that has to be updated, from software to the computers themselves, you know, the wiring. There's so many things that need to be done, with the system, and
Well, and
we
things,
don't have the staff.
What about the wall that Google's requiring?
Yeah, that's another thing, getting a
Will
firewall.
this person be able to install the firewall that makes them happy?
that
And
person should be qualified to do that, or you wouldn't,
that's a reason in itself to
That's what I mean,
fill the
there is.
position.
or you wouldn't, you couldn't hire somebody that maybe wasn't qualified to do that, is what I'm saying. But another thing, see, the tremendous amount of data that's revenue and probate has, they're in the old Delta systems, and they're very reliable. But Harris has bought Delta now. So Harris will probably be offering more, different ways to bridge some of that over into their new systems now. And, cause most of the counties I know, the revenue department, they're still running on those old Delta systems that were from years and years ago. They're very reliable, but they're a little bit behind the curve on some of the things that collecting data and things like that, it'd be nice if you could do. But with the company that we're using to do our, all of our, accounting, payroll and everything is Harris, local government. And again, they now are Delta.
Y'all keep in mind, we got about 45 computers just in the sheriff's office we're gonna fix. I mean, there's always something going on constantly.
Who would they report to?
Myself and the revenue commissioner.
Well, let me ask you a question, you know, there's days that Michelle needs somebody, I mean, if the person had a free day, because a lot of that's just data entry, I mean, could the person not also help in other things if we need them?
You could, I mean, you could look at something like that. I think we're gonna have to pay a decent sum to get someone here for an IT job though. And, like I said, I really think it's gonna be a full-time job. If they
Did
have
we
some
put
free
that in
time, we could
revenues
definitely
budget?
find something for them to
We
do.
did put that in revenues budget.
This year,
I don't think we didn't.
You did not?
for sure we did not.
Here's the
In
thing,
some places
we
use
have,
a company to do this instead of a person, so there's an option of hiring a company to do this. But, you know, it's hard to figure out if you're better served by a company contractor doing it for you or a person.
You have more accountability at being a
A
person because
person,
the
and
one for the
they can
sheriff.
help more of your
Nobody
local
else.
desktop type things. As
Right.
people have simple problems, it's maybe a big problem to a user, but to an IT person, it's a simple fix, and he can come in there in 5 minutes and have you up and going.
Right.
So it's hard to measure how much of that stuff that person could help out with, you know, and eliminate solid waste and public works, having to call people in occasionally to get things fixed. So that person would probably eliminate all of that type of vendor charges that we've been having in the past.
Will we have enough contract services in our budget to cover our percentage that this will cost us?
what do you mean? Oh,
We put money in contract services for every department.
well, yeah, the way it works again, it'll come out of your ad valorem taxes there. So that's what will be reduced, which that's what I feel comfortable, we could probably keep that number and still make this happen.
Okay.
You've got 25,000 that revenue's budget's gonna be reduced, from that, I can't even think, the property ring or whatever. You've got another, I think it was 6 or 7,000 we budgeted for a, tech call service, where, we can call. So if we have someone, we're not necessarily gonna need that. You know, there are gonna be some training expenses and things like that if we include this in the budget, but, it's.
You know, we're still paying a couple of contract services, the one, I forget the name, escapes me right now, but the one that's like $1,400 a month or something that,
Right.
see, we felt like we possibly could eliminate that one too if we had that person on hand.
But Public Works has got contract services
Right.
included,
Yeah.
computer repair.
Yeah,
I'm saying all those, you remove all those and add this person, the money may,
You
We
may
should
be
get
a
close
wash.
to
You
covering
probably,
it.
you know, what you're saying probably would happen, we probably would reduce contract services next year if we had that person on board.
exactly,
In all departments.
exactly.
That-
But would we be
Let
able
those-
to-
Let those departments pay the general
Yeah.
fund for that service.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Make sure these departments that are enterprise funds we can't fool with, when they utilize this, they pay the general fund.
We can make it however
So we can't use that money anywhere else.
Yeah, and bring those contract, kinda like we do the,
Exactly.
phones and everything else.
Even if it ain't but $4,000 or $5,000 a year, get those funds to pay us back and
The,
justify it.
the need for this is only gonna go up. I mean, the world's becoming more advanced technologically, so it's not gonna the need's not gonna become less. We have enough work for this person. I feel confident to stay busy for a very long time. So,
Put it on the meeting.
you want me to go ahead and put it in the budget and
I would.
Put it on, put it on the meeting.
all right, that concludes the items I had. Do you have anything else, Mr. Manning?
No, sir.
You gentlemen have anything else?
You can detail any of you guys, I knew you just didn't want 40 pages of stuff in your file. We got all the details for any of this stuff, and we can get you a detailed breakdown